Hi everyone, my name's Hannah and I'm making this video to talk about proper immune function in high school swimmers. So I'm going to talk about proper immune function as it relates to nutrition and proper hygiene. So what I'm hoping you're going to get out of this video is three things. One is an understanding of what the immune function is. Second is to understand the reason why the immune system is suppressed during the swim season. And third is to understand proper nutrition and hygiene practices to support a healthy immune system. So swim season takes place in the winter time, and for most of the United States that is cold, very, very cold weather. And with this cold weather, a lot of people get sick because the insides tend to be warmer because you coming in from the cold, and so just germs get spread around more easily because more people are inside, and with the warmth and everything, you get sick. And so this is why it's very, very important during the season to make sure your immune system is operating properly and optimally, because as a swim team, it's a team, so you are with a lot of people and pool areas are very warm, so germs will be spread very easily. And swimming is a hard sport, so you're training rigorously and that will suppress the immune system, so you need to know how to take care of your immune system. For those of you who don't know what the immune system is, it is just the body's defense against foreign invaders, so bacteria, viruses, other pathogens. So you're probably familiar with white blood cells. These cells are a part of the immune system, and they are one way our body fights infection. Antibodies you probably heard of as well, and they are also part of the immune system, and these are proteins that help fight against foreign invaders in our bodies. So when our immune system is compromised or suppressed, it can't perform its job of fighting off these foreign invaders, so that's when we get sick. Going back to swim season being in the winter time, that's also flu season. So influenza is the virus that causes the flu. And so to be protected against getting the flu, getting the flu vaccine is a good idea because it's really your only way of maybe being protected. So it's better than nothing. So I would suggest you get that if you can. And like I said earlier, swimming is a very rigorous sport, and practices are usually about 2 hours or more, and some schools even do 2 a days, which means you're practicing more than 2 hours a day, and swim practices are usually at least 6 days a week. So it's a very hard sport. So like I said earlier, rigorous and prolonged activity will depress the immune system, and if you pair that with inadequate nutrition, the negative effects of the rigorous training are amplified. So this is why proper nutrition is so important, and it's just essential. Like, you need to have a healthy diet especially when you're an athlete, and especially in the winter, because then it will stop you from being sick. Moderate exercise is good for the immune system. It helps to strengthen it, but as athletes, such as high school swimmers, you are very prone to overreaching and overtraining, which are just two terms used that athletes are prone to, because overreaching is temporary. It's just when you are training a lot for a long time, many days a week, and your body becomes just exhausted and your immune system is then suppressed. Overtraining is basically overreaching that has gone unnoticed. So overreaching, like if you just take a break, let your body rest, it will return to normal. But overtraining is when it's just you've trained too long and you're not able to even perform at optimum ability anymore, and your immune system is permanently suppressed from doing that. So points of swim season where swimmers are most susceptible to being ill is, as I said earlier, when training is the most rigorous. So for swimmers, that tends to be between mid-December to mid-January, because you're building up your endurance and everything, and you're training your hardest, so you can then, once mid-January hits, taper for sectionals. That is like beginning of February. So at points of when training is rigorous, that is when an athlete is going to be either overreaching or being overtrained. If you would like to know more about overtraining and overreaching and what it is and what it does to your body and how to avoid it, I suggest the article Overtraining, Excessive Exercise, and Altered Immunity by Laker Smith. When it comes to just regular training, like you do every day, the immune system will be the most suppressed post-exercise if the activity lasted longer than an hour and a half, which usually swim practices do. So right after is when adequate nutrition is probably one of the most important because you need to replenish after the activity. Now I'm going to talk about proper hygiene practices so you are less likely to get sick. So if you do these, you hopefully won't be sick. First is washing your hands. Everyone knows that, but that's especially important before you eat and after you go to the bathroom. Brushing your teeth every day, and things like covering your mouth with the inside of your arm when you cough or sneeze to stop the spread of your germs from getting to others. And then other hygiene practices that are commonly overlooked are things like staying hydrated. You really need to stay hydrated during the season. It is very important. Don't forget your water at practice. Like, you are sweating a lot in the pool, you just don't know it, but you are. You're losing a lot of water in practice, so you need to drink water. Other things are like properly dressing for the cold weather, so wear your hats and your coats. My coach always made sure we were. And other things like washing your clothes after wearing them, that's important too, because the germs from the day are just on them, so you want to wash those off. So then proper hygiene practices that are geared more towards swimmers and most athletes is just not sharing equipment. Probably the most important is don't share towels, because that is how bacteria get spread, and that bacteria can cause things like skin rashes or like eye infections. If you've ever heard of staph, which is a very popular skin infection in athletes, it is not good to have. It can be very, very dangerous if not treated, and it is very resistant to some antibiotics, so that's something you don't want. So don't share your towels. Other things like goggles, don't share goggles. Don't share your flippers, don't share your caps, don't share your suits with teammates. Like, it's just not good. Don't do that. It will spread germs. So lastly, I want to talk about nutrition and replenishment. For the immune system to operate properly, you need to feed it properly, which is why adequate nutrition is so important for a healthy immune system. Swimmers need to be sure they are consuming enough carbohydrates before and after practice. They need to fuel themselves before practice, and they need to replenish themselves after practice. Your body is using glycogen to fuel your activity, so you need to make sure you keep those stores stocked. According to the journal Exercise, Nutrition, and Immune Function, an adequate protein intake as well as some micronutrient deficiencies will lead to immune dysfunction. So on top of eating enough carbohydrates, you need to make sure you're eating enough protein, especially after the activity. That way your muscles can be replenished. So without fueling the body with the proper macronutrients at the appropriate times, the immune system can be at risk for weakening. So it is best to have a source of protein and carbohydrates immediately after a workout. Protein bars are convenient, but if possible, you want to try to pack a more whole food snack, like something you can throw in your bag to eat after practice. So things like cheese sticks or chocolate milk or yogurt, those are good post-workout fuel. So I've talked about 2 of the 3 macronutrients, and the last one is fat. Fat is also needed. It is not as essential as carbohydrates and protein for fuel, but it is still needed. But you don't want it in too high of amounts, because that can also depress the immune system. Fat can be hard to avoid eating too much of it during the swim season, just because, like I said, the swim season is in the winter, and that means holidays, so there's a lot more foods available that are higher in fat, and fat provides satiety. So swimmers, you're probably hungry a lot, so fat is a source that will make you feel full more than carbohydrates would. Protein does, but I feel like protein can be harder to get in as easily as fat it can be taken in. As I said earlier, with swim season being around the holidays and higher fat foods being available, so are desserts. And desserts are high in sugar, and there was a study done in 1973 by Loma Linda University, and it showed that high sugar intake decreases white blood cells' ability to fight off pathogens, so sugar will depress the immune system as well. So I'm not saying not to eat the holiday foods, it's just make sure you keep it in moderation, just like everything else though. So, something everyone knows is fruits and vegetables are very good for you, and a lot of them are very good for the immune system. The problem is in the winter, fresh produce can be harder to come by, but if you refer to my handout, I talk about some good fresh produce that are available in the winter that are good for the immune system. There are 7 micronutrients that are really essential for the immune system, and they are vitamins C, E, A, B6, B12, and minerals iron and zinc. So, vitamin C is probably the most known nutrient people associate with being sick and everything. So, you need to make sure your vitamin C intake is adequate before you get sick because it's not really going to do anything when you're sick. So, you need to make sure you're consuming it before you get sick so that way you don't get sick. Vitamin E serves as an antioxidant in the body and is found in nuts and seeds, so things like almonds and hazelnuts and sunflower seeds you'll find vitamin E in. Vitamin B6 is involved in a lot of biochemical reactions in our body, and that can be found in things like bananas, tuna, and baked potatoes. Vitamin A facilitates the maintenance of healthy hair and skin, as well as skeletal muscles, and can be found in sweet potatoes, pumpkin, and other squashes. Vitamin B12 is important for the formation of red blood cells and is found in animal products, so things like milk and poultry. So if you're vegan, you want to supplement for this because the only plant-based way to get it is through foods that are fortified with it or the seasoning nutritional yeast, but odds are you're not consuming enough B12 just through fortification and nutritional yeast, so supplementation is pretty necessary. Iron is needed in the red blood cells to carry oxygen, and this is found in things like broccoli and beans and seafood and turkey and chicken. And then lastly is zinc, and zinc is good for controlling inflammation and is found in things like lean meat, yogurt, and chickpeas. Some micronutrients do have upper intake levels, which means you don't want to go over these levels because then you can be susceptible to toxicities, and over-consuming micronutrients can do the opposite and hurt the immune system instead of help it. So if you want to know what micronutrients have ULs, then you can just Google DRIs of micronutrients and you'll find it there. But it's very uncommon, so unless you're supplementing, you probably don't need to worry about eating too much of a certain micronutrient. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening to my video. I hope you found it informative. You only have one immune system, so you definitely want to treat it correctly and make sure it's working optimally because being sick is no fun. Remember, the immune system is suppressed by rigorous exercise and it needs proper care, so keep yourself clean and be cautious around others, especially if they seem ill. Lastly, eat to heal your immune system, keep your glycogen stores stocked, eat enough protein to support your training needs, and don't overdo it on the sugar and fat, and make sure you're consuming nutrient-rich foods so you will be eating enough of those micronutrients that are very good for you. So thank you again. I'll see you later.